Hello, this is George Durant and I am doing my nutrition assignment 1 and my student number is 14006593. Right, there are two types of nutrients that requires a body to function. They are macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are the three nutrients which are carbohydrates, fats and proteins. The definition of that is a nutrient required in a large amount for the normal growth and development of an organism. Micronutrients are the two nutrients which are vitamins and minerals. Definition: any dietary element only in one amount for the normal physiological processes of the body, including vitamins and minerals or chemical elements such as zinc or iodine. Next, we move on to the macronutrient carbohydrate. The percentage of the macronutrient intake for carbohydrate should be at 50 to 60% in our diet. The role of carbohydrate is the main source of energy. The carbohydrates convert into glucose. The glucose that would be stored is called glycogen. The blood sugar levels would be maintained with a constant supply of carbohydrates in a diet. If you do not consume enough carbohydrates, we wouldn't have the energy to complete tasks. 1 gram of every carbohydrate would give 4 kilocalories of energy. There are 3 types of carbohydrates. These include simple monosaccharides. The simple carbohydrates are fructose, glucose and lactose and sucrose. The second one is complex. This is disaccharides. And the third one is called polysaccharides. Many of the molecules and the structure is interlinked, so there is a long chain of them. The food sources would take longer to break down. Foods that are classified as polysaccharides would be pasta, rice, potatoes. Where would the glycogen be stored in the body? There are 3 sources where it's stored. This is the muscle, liver and blood glucose. The muscle has 325 grams of it, liver has 100 grams and the blood glucose has 15 to 20 grams. Food sources: there are 2 sources of carbohydrates. These are simple and complex. Simple carbohydrates are sugary foods. Sugary foods are easy to break down. They are easy to break down because they are made of 1 or 2 molecules. The person would often feel energetic as the energy released from simple carbohydrates are consumed by the body quickly. The foods that are carbohydrates would be jam, honey, fizzy drinks, Lucozade Sport and boiled sweets. Simple carbohydrates would be beneficial to anaerobic athletes. This is because the muscular contraction is strong and the individual would need short bursts of energy. Sports that would benefit from the energy supplied by the simple carbohydrates would be shot putters and sprinters. Moving on to complex carbohydrates. These are foods that are high in starch. The structure of a complex carbohydrate would have more molecules joined together. The carbohydrate would be stored so the body can access the energy. The person would often be full as the complex carbohydrate gives the individual a long-lasting energy. The foods that are complex carbohydrates would be rice, pasta, potatoes and couscous. Complex carbohydrates would be beneficial to aerobic athletes. This is because the athlete would be working for long periods of time and the body needs to have a constant supply of energy. Sports that would benefit from a constant supply of complex carbohydrates would be long-distance runners and long-distance cyclists. Now moving on to fats, one of the other macronutrients. We need to supply our body with a daily intake of 30 to 35%. The role of the fats is to protect the internal organs. The fat around the organs absorb the impacts that stops the organs from damaging. The fats also help maintain our core temperature. This is known as thermoregulation. The cells of the body allows them to have a structural material. For fats help store fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin C, A, D, E and K7. Once the fat-soluble vitamins has been consumed, the body does not excrete them and they can be stored. The fat would provide energy to the individual. Fats also help the body grow and repair. The body would have a supply of essential fatty acids. An athlete that would benefit from a high-fat diet would be a sumo wrestler or a shot putter. 1 gram of fat would give the body 9 kilocalories of energy. There are 3 types of fat. These are saturated fats, polyunsaturated fats and saturated fats. The saturated fats, these are fats that are bad and unwanted in our diet. Saturated fats would usually come in the form of a liquid when they're at room temperature. The products that are saturated fats would be usually animal fats. This would include butter, biscuit, cakes and ice cream. Polyunsaturated fat, these are types of fats that are good fats which the body needs to function. The foods that are polyunsaturated fats are found in nuts, seeds, fish and green vegetables. Monounsaturated fats, these type of fats are good fats which allows the body to function. When the fats are stored in a chilled area, they are solid. However, when they are at room temperature, they are a liquid. Both of polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats should be consumed more frequently than saturated fats. Next, moving on to protein, the last macronutrient. We need to supply our body with a daily intake of 15% of protein. The role of protein is growth of a pair of the muscles. The protein is our secondary energy source. 1 gram of protein is equal to and gives our body with 4 kilocalories of energy. In extreme environments, the body would start to break down protein to help our body to maintain its function of the vital organs. The main source of protein needs is the molecule named amino acids. These are known as the building blocks of protein. What are the two types of amino acids? How many of them each are there? Well, there are 8 essential amino acids. These are the amino acids that our body cannot make ourselves, so we have to find another source. For example, red meat, fish and eggs. The other ones are called 12 non-essential amino acids. These are the amino acids that our body can make ourselves, so we do not consume them in any way. The food sources are incomplete proteins. The definition of this is a food that is inadequate or one or more of the 9 amino acids essential for normal growth and maintenance of tissue when used as the sole source of protein and adequate energy is available. The food needs to be consumed with other amino acids so the body can benefit from it. The incomplete protein would need to have a right balance with complete proteins. Foods that are incomplete would be pulses, nuts, lentils and beans. Incomplete proteins does not include all 20 amino acids. Next, moving on to the complete proteins. The definition of this is a protein that contains all the essential amino acids in appropriate amounts to allow normal growth and tissue maintenance with adequate energy is provided in the diet. Examples are casein, milk protein, eggs, fish, poultry, cheese, meat and some whole grains such as quinoa. Vitamins. There are 2 types of vitamins. These are fat soluble, which are A, D, E and K. These are stored in the adipose tissue, and water soluble, B and C. These can be excreted through urine. Right. Vitamin, you need to have 0.7 milligrams of vitamin A. This type is a fat soluble and the function of it helps us to see at night. The source of the A is carrot and spinach. The deficiency would be it would reduce night sight and dry rough skin. Vit B is you need to have 40 milligrams and this is water soluble. This is vital, allows us to have full energy. The sources would be milk, meat and vegetables. The deficiency is loss of appetite and muscle cramps. Vitamin C, you need 1 milligram of it, and it is a water soluble. The function of it is prevents our body from getting scurvy. They are found in fruit, especially oranges. The deficiency would be prevent scurvy and bleeding gums. Vitamin D is a fat soluble. It allows us to have strong bones and teeth. Egg yolk and liver is the source of it, and the deficiency would be weak bones. Vitamin E, you need 4 milligrams of this. This is a fat soluble. The function of it is to protect the cell walls. The source you would find this in would be nuts and seeds. Nerve abnormalities would be the deficiency. Vitamin K, you need 0.001 milligrams of this, and it's a fat soluble. Its function is prevents prevents cuts, bleeding all day. Source. would be milk and cabbage, and the deficiency would be defective blood clotting. Now moving on to minerals, one of the other micronutrients. There are two types of minerals. These are macro minerals, which we need to supply our body with a larger amount, and trace. Our body needs less amounts of these minerals so our body can function. The minerals are zinc, and you need 12 to 20 milligrams of this, and it's a trace mineral. The function of it is to assist carbon dioxide. The source is found in cheese, and the deficiency would be reduced respiration. Calcium, you need 1,200 milligrams of this. It's a macro mineral. Its function is help bone formation and muscle contraction, and you find this in milk. Weak bones and loss of concentration, loss of muscle contraction would be the deficiency. Potassium, you need 1 gram of this, and it's a macro mineral. And the function of this is the nerve impulses. You can find this in bananas, and the deficiency would be reduced coordination. Sodium, you need 5 to 10 grams of this. It's a macronutrient. It helps water balance. You can find this often in table salt, and deficiency, our body would dehydrate. Magnesium, you need 5 milligrams of this, and it's a trace mineral. The function of this is to help the reproductive organs function. You'd find this in peanuts, kidneys, and the deficiency would be reproductive failure. Iron, you need 18 milligrams of this. This is also a trace mineral. The function of it is formation of hemoglobin, and you can find this in liver and eggs, and the deficiency of iron would be anemia. Now, next we're moving on to fibre. What is fibre? Fibre is a complex carbohydrate. This is known as a non-starch polysaccharide. The adult requires 18 grams per day. There are two types of fibres. These are insoluble and soluble. Insoluble, they do not dissolve in water. Insoluble fibre prevents bowel disorders. Foods that are a source of insoluble fibres are rice, pasta, whole grains, and cereal. Soluble fibres they do dissolve in water. Soluble fibres prevent the uptake of nutrients. They control blood glucose, cholesterol. Foods that are a source of soluble fibre are fruit, vegetables, and oats. Next, moving on to water. For our body to function, we need to consume 6 to 8 cups a day. That is roughly 2 litres. 50 to 60% of our body weight is water. Muscle has a higher water content than fat tissue, so therefore leaner individuals has a higher water content than fatty individuals. Water has 3 roles. These are transports nutrients, temperature regulation, and aids the passage of food through the digestive system. Where do we find our water? Well, the water sources are fluids, which are drinks, food, and metabolism. We need 1,200 milligrams of milliliters, of fluids. 1,000 is found in food, and 350 is found in the metabolism. Comparing a marathon runner and a weightlifter. The marathon runner, I said that they would need 80% of carbohydrates, 10% protein, and 10% fat. I've changed the amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats because a marathon runner needs in a day. I've changed the percentage because the marathon runner will be running for longer periods of time, so the runner needs the energy, so the muscle would have less chance of tiring in a race. The marathon runner also needs a lot of energy, as athletes can usually do a marathon around the 2-hour mark. This is why we need the marathon runner to take 80% of carbohydrates in a diet. However, the marathon runner would need to take more complex carbohydrates rather than simple. This is because complex carbohydrates are foods that are high in starch. The structure of complex carbohydrates would have more molecules joined together. The carbohydrates would be stored so the body can access the energy. The person would often use complex carbohydrates to give the individual a long-lasting energy. However, in the late stages of the race, when the marathon runner will be sprinting, it would also need to have short bursts of energy, and therefore simple carbohydrates would need to be taken in their diet. While the marathon runner would be training at the high intensity, the athlete muscles would be tearing and they need to be repaired. So therefore protein would be vital in their diet. Protein would be vital for marathon runners because throughout the marathon their muscles would be tearing, so the muscle fibre needs to be repaired. I only reduced it slightly because the marathon runner needs to consume large amounts of